beneath the ice. The Arctic Ocean, 400 feet below polar ice. Temperature outside the hull, 28 degrees Fahrenheit. Visibility, 0. Pressure, crushing. USS Jimmy Carter moved like a ghost through the frozen darkness. This wasn't a patrol. This was a mission that would reshape global energy politics for the next century. Russia had found it, the largest untapped oil reserve in the Arctic, an estimated 90 billion barrels beneath the Lomonosov Ridge, enough to fund Moscow's military expansion for generations. And they were 72 hours from beginning extraction. Navy Force obtained classified details of what happened next. An invisible battle that will never appear in official records. A confrontation that decided who controls the world's last energy frontier. The operation began 6 months earlier. Naval intelligence intercepted communications from Gazprom's Arctic division. Russia had secretly deployed Priraslomnaya 2, an advanced drilling platform 200 nautical miles north of their territorial waters. International law called this area disputed. Moscow called it Russian. The platform wasn't alone. 4 Beret-class ballistic missile submarines patrolled nearby. The nuclear-powered cruiser Pyotr Veliky maintained surface presence. A constellation of sensors monitored every approach route. Except one. Under the polar ice cap, sonar becomes nearly useless. The ice creates acoustic chaos. Cracking, shifting, grinding. Thermal layers distort sound propagation. Navigation relies on inertial systems and careful planning. USS Jimmy Carter was built for exactly this environment. Which submarine class is designed for special operations? A. Virginia. B. Seawolf. C. Jimmy Carter. Modified Seawolf. Comment your answer. The Jimmy Carter is unique in the American fleet. A modified Seawolf-class boat with a 100-foot hull extension called the Multi-Mission Platform. This section contains equipment that remains classified. What's known, it can deploy underwater drones, tap communication cables, and deliver special operations forces. Commander David Mitchell had trained for Arctic operations for 11 years. His crew of 140 represented the most experienced ice sailors in the submarine force. At 0200 hours local time, Jimmy Carter crossed into the operational zone. Diving officer, make your depth 600 feet, ahead slow. The submarine descended into the thermal layer that would mask its acoustic signature. Above, 12 feet of polar ice sealed them from the surface world. There was no backup, no communication possible. If something went wrong under the ice cap, no rescue would come. Wait until you see what they found at the drilling platform. The first objective, reconnaissance. Jimmy Carter deployed 2 UUVs, unmanned underwater vehicles, from its forward torpedo tubes. These autonomous drones would map Russian positions and identify vulnerabilities. For 6 hours, the crew waited in silence. Minimal systems operation. No unnecessary movement. In submarine warfare, patience is the deadliest weapon. The UUVs returned with critical intelligence. Priraslomnaya 2 was anchored by 16 subsea cables to the ocean floor. Power lines, data links, most importantly, the main extraction conduit that would pump oil to waiting tankers. But the real discovery changed everything. The platform's sonar data showed Russian crews had drilled through a methane hydrate layer, frozen natural gas trapped in ice crystals. Disturbing this layer risked catastrophic release, an environmental disaster that would devastate Arctic ecosystems across international waters. Moscow knew about the risk. They proceeded anyway. Commander Mitchell faced a decision that no training manual covered. XO, what's our ROE on environmental threats? Unclear, Captain. Nothing in the mission brief covers this scenario. Rules of engagement were simple. Observe and report. But reporting required surfacing through the ice cap and transmitting to satellite. That would take 48 hours. The Russians might breach the methane layer in 24. Mitchell made the call. We're not here to watch. Weapons officer, prepare packages Alpha through Delta. How many special operations payloads can Jimmy Carter carry? A. 24B. 50C. Classified. Revealed at the end. The sabotage operation began at 0430 hours. First, Jimmy Carter approached the main data cable connecting Prerezlomnaya 2 to Moscow. Speed, 2 knots. Depth, 550 feet. Distance to target, 400 yards. The submarine's specialized equipment. Details remain classified, attached to the cable without cutting it. For 90 minutes, Navy cryptologists downloaded every communication the platform had transmitted for 6 months. They discovered something alarming. Russian Naval Command had authorized weapons storage on the platform. Surface-to-air missiles, anti-ship cruise missiles. They were turning an oil rig into a forward military base. This wasn't just energy extraction. This was Arctic militarization. Phase 2 commenced at 0615. 2 Navy SEALs in specialized diving suits exited through Jimmy Carter's lockout chamber. Water temperature, 28 degrees. Exposure time limit, 23 minutes before hypothermia set in. Their target, the platform's subsea wellhead assembly. Swimming through absolute darkness, guided only by wrist-mounted sonar, the operators reached the drilling infrastructure in 11 minutes. They planted 4 charges on non-critical components. Not enough to cause an oil spill, enough to force an emergency shutdown. The SEALs returned with 4 minutes to spare. Now came the most dangerous part. Russia controls these waters, or thinks it does. What do you believe? Comment R or US. Jimmy Carter needed to withdraw through 180 nautical miles of ice-covered ocean. Russian attack submarines were hunting somewhere in that expanse. Commander Mitchell chose an unconventional route. Navigation, plot course through the Mendeleev Ridge Canyon system. We'll use the terrain for cover. The Mendeleev Ridge features underwater mountains rising 10,000 feet from the ocean floor. Sonar shadows, acoustic dead zones, a maze that only the most skilled navigators could traverse. For 14 hours, Jimmy Carter threaded through submarine canyons. Multiple times, Russian sonar pings echoed through the hull. Each time, the American boat froze. All non-essential systems secured, crew barely breathing. At 2200 hours, passive sonar detected contact. Con sonar, Sierra 15 is Akula class, bearing 045, range approximately 8,000 yards. He's searching. The Akula was one of Russia's quietest attack submarines, specifically designed to hunt American boats. This one was between Jimmy Carter and open water. Mitchell studied the tactical plot. He doesn't know we're here. If we go active, he'll have firing solution in 30 seconds. The crew waited. 1 hour, then 2. The Akula systematically searched grid patterns, never suspecting the American submarine was 4,000 yards to its south. Finally, the Russian boat moved north, toward the drilling platform to investigate the communications disruption Jimmy Carter had caused. Window open? If you believe naval power decides wars, type Navy Force below. USS Jimmy Carter reached the ice edge at 03:30 hours the following day. Behind them, Prerezlomnaya 2 had gone dark. The sabotage charges detonated on schedule, damaging the wellhead control systems. No environmental release, no casualties. Just a $4 billion drilling operation stopped cold. Russia's Arctic ambitions suffered a setback measured in years. Commander Mitchell surfaced through a Polinya, a natural gap in the ice, 400 nautical miles from any Russian vessel. The burst transmission to Naval Special Warfare Command contained 3 words. Poseidon complete, returning. But the strategic impact extended far beyond one drilling platform. Navy Force analysis reveals the broader implications. Russia's Arctic drilling program relies on Western technology despite sanctions. The downloaded communications proved Moscow had obtained banned equipment through third-party intermediaries. This intelligence led to sanctions enforcement that crippled 3 additional drilling projects. More importantly, the operation demonstrated American reach. The Arctic Ocean was supposed to be Russia's backyard. Their submarines knew every current, every thermal layer, every acoustic shadow. They had operated there for 60 years. USS Jimmy Carter penetrated that domain, completed a complex special operation, and withdrew without detection. The message to Moscow was clear: nowhere in the world's oceans is beyond American naval power. 6 months after Operation Poseidon, satellite imagery showed Priraslomnaya 2 being dismantled. Russia's state media blamed technical difficulties. Internal communications, intercepted by naval intelligence, revealed the truth. Moscow couldn't secure its Arctic infrastructure against submarine infiltration. Without security, no drilling operation could proceed. The 90 billion barrels remain frozen beneath the Lomonosov Ridge. Which nation truly controls these waters now? Comment your prediction. The energy map of the 21st century was rewritten in 48 hours by 140 sailors who will never receive public recognition. Quiz answer: USS Jimmy Carter's Special Operations payload capacity remains officially classified. Estimates suggest between 66 specialized systems, but the Navy has never confirmed specifics. 3 questions define the Arctic's future. Will Russia attempt new drilling operations? Can American submarines maintain persistent presence beneath the ice cap? And most critically, when frozen resources become accessible, who will have the naval power to claim them? Navy Force knows the answer. The submarine that controls under-ice warfare controls the Arctic. The nation that controls the Arctic controls the energy future. USS Jimmy Carter has returned to homeport. Her next mission remains classified. But somewhere beneath polar ice, the silent service watches, waits, protects. Subscribe to Navy Force, where naval supremacy rules. Fleet supremacy, maritime dominance, Navy Force.